The soft blue glow of monitor screens lit up Lily Adams's face as she sat at her station. She had been working the night shift at the Europa Deep Space Monitoring Station for 3 years now. Most nights were quiet. This night was different. Small beep caught her attention. At first, she thought it was just another piece of space debris crossing their sensor range. The United Sol Federation tracked thousands of objects every day as they moved through the solar system. But this signal wasn't moving like debris. It was steady and rhythmic. Lily leaned forward and adjusted her headset. "That's odd," she whispered to herself. The signal was weak but definitely artificial. She ran it through the computer's analysis program. The computer beeped again. The screen flashed with a message. Signal identified. Earth military frequency, circa 2150 standard. Lily's heart beat faster. That frequency hadn't been used in over 300 years. She pressed the comm button on her console. "Commander Wright, I think you should come see this." 5 minutes later, Commander Peter Wright stood behind Lily's chair, watching the signal pattern pulse on her screen. At 55 years old, Wright had spent most of his life in space. His gray hair was cut short, and his blue eyes narrowed as he studied the data. "Can you clean it up?" he asked. Lily nodded and worked her controls. "I'm boosting the gain and filtering out the background radiation." The signal became clearer. "There's a message embedded in the carrier wave," Lily said. "I'm extracting it. Now." Words began to appear on the screen, broken and fragmented. "ES path, colony miss and request, assistance, retu, ing home." Wright's face went pale. "The Pathfinder? That's impossible." "What's the Pathfinder, sir?" Lily asked. "Before your time," Wright said. "The ESS Pathfinder was one of Earth's first colony ships. It vanished more than 3 centuries ago during humanity's first push to the stars. Everyone aboard was presumed dead." He straightened up. "Call the senior staff. Emergency meeting in 30 minutes. The meeting room was filled with the station's senior officers 30 minutes later. Science Officer Grace Miller, a tall woman with short brown hair, was reviewing the signal data on her tablet. Security Chief Frank Carter sat with his arms crossed, his dark face serious as he listened to Wright explain the situation. "The signal is genuine," Grace said when Wright finished speaking. "The identification codes match what we have in the historical database for the Pathfinder mission. But Commander, that ship disappeared 327 years ago. Could it be a hoax?" Frank asked. "Or maybe aliens who found the ship's records?" Wright shook his head. "The signal includes verification codes that weren't in the public record. Only someone with access to the original mission parameters would know them." "So what do we do?" Lily asked. "We've already sent the data to Federation headquarters on Mars," Wright said. "They're dispatching the USF Horizon to investigate." "The Horizon?" Frank whistled. "That's our most advanced military vessel." "Apparently, they're taking this seriously," Wright said. 2 days later, Captain Alan Russell stood on the bridge of the USF Horizon as it prepared to depart from Mars orbit. At 42, Russell was one of the youngest captains in the Federation fleet. He had earned the position through a combination of tactical brilliance and diplomatic skill. "All systems ready for departure, Captain," said First Officer Keith Harrison from his station. "Thank you, Keith," Russell replied. "Navigation, set course for the coordinates of the Pathfinder signal." "Course set, sir," the navigator responded. Russell nodded. "Engage engines." The Horizon pulled away from Mars, its powerful engines glowing bright against the darkness of space. As the ship accelerated, Russell reviewed the mission briefing again. Pathfinder had been part of humanity's first attempt to establish colonies beyond the solar system. The ship and its crew of 200 colonists had set out for Tau Ceti, a journey expected to take several decades. 6 months into the mission, all contact was lost. Search parties found no trace of the vessel. After years of searching, the Pathfinder and everyone aboard were declared lost, and now somehow they were back, or at least something claiming to be them was back. "Captain," Keith interrupted his thoughts. "Intelligence reports just came in. There's unusual activity in the Arcturus sector, Russell frowned. The Arcturus Collective was an alien civilization that humanity had encountered 80 years ago. Relations had been cold but stable since then, with minimal contact between the two species. What kind of unusual activity? Russell asked. Several Arcturus vessels have changed course to patrol their border with Federation space, Keith explained. They've also increased communications traffic by 300% in the last 24 hours. Do they know something we don't? Russell wondered aloud. Sir, said Communications Officer Jordan Bell, I have a priority message from Admiral Winters at Federation HQ. Put it through to my ready room, Russell said, standing up. Keith, you have the bridge. In his private office, Russell activated the secure communication system. Admiral Susan Winters' face appeared on the screen. She was in her 60s with streaks of gray in her black hair. Captain Russell, we've received some disturbing intelligence, she said without preamble. Our long-range sensors have detected unusual energy signatures near the location of the Pathfinder signal. These energy patterns are similar to those used by the Arcturus Collective for their faster-than-light communications. Russell leaned forward. You think the Arcturus are involved with the Pathfinder's return? We don't know, Winters admitted, but the timing is suspicious. Proceed with caution, Captain. Your ship is equipped with our most advanced defensive systems, but we still know very little about Arcturus military capabilities. Understood, Admiral, Russell said. We'll be careful. After the call ended, Russell returned to the bridge. Increase speed to maximum, he ordered, and bring all defensive systems to standby. The horizon surged forward, moving faster as it left the solar system behind. The crew worked efficiently at their stations, but Russell could feel the tension in the air. Everyone knew this was no ordinary mission. As Russell sat in the captain's chair, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were heading toward something unprecedented. If the Pathfinder had somehow survived all these centuries, where had it been? And more importantly, what had happened to the people aboard? 3 days later, sensor specialist Olivia Rivera called out from her station. Captain, we're approaching the signal coordinates. Russell stood up. On screen. The main view screen showed empty space, stars scattered across the blackness. I don't see anything, Keith said. The signal is still active, Jordan confirmed from communications. It's definitely coming from this location. Russell was about to order a more detailed scan when Olivia shouted, Energy spike. Something's happening directly ahead. The view screen flashed with light as space itself seemed to tear open. A swirling blue vortex formed in front of the horizon. Evasive maneuvers, Russell ordered. Before the ship could change course, something massive began to emerge from the vortex. It was a ship, an enormous vessel that dwarfed the horizon. As it fully emerged, Russell could see the unmistakable design of human engineering, but with modifications unlike anything in the Federation fleet. On the hull, partially obscured by what appeared to be alien technology grafted onto the original structure, were faded letters spelling out a name. ESS Pathfinder. Open a channel, Russell said, his voice barely above a whisper. Channel open, Jordan replied. Russell cleared his throat. This is Captain Alan Russell of the United Sol Federation vessel Horizon. We are responding to your signal. Please identify yourself. For a long moment there was silence. Then a woman's voice came through the speakers. This is Lisa Boyd of the ESS Pathfinder. We've come home, Captain. And we've brought friends. Captain Russell stood frozen on the bridge of the horizon. The massive ship before them seemed to be both familiar and alien at the same time. Its core structure was clearly human-built, the distinctive shape of an early Earth colony vessel. But strange additions covered large portions of the hull. Glowing blue lines ran across its surface like veins, pulsing with energy unlike anything in Federation technology. Sir, First Officer Keith Harrison whispered, that ship is at least 5 times larger than the original Pathfinder specifications in our database. Russell nodded slowly. Magnify the image on those modifications. The view screen zoomed in on a section of the hull where alien technology seamlessly merged with human engineering. The alien components had an organic quality to them, curves and flowing lines instead of the angular design typical of Federation ships. "Captain," said Olivia from her sensor station, "I'm detecting energy readings that don't match anything in our database, and the ship's hull appears to be made of an alloy we've never encountered before." The communication system crackled again. "Captain Russell," Lisa Boyd's voice came through clearly. "We request a meeting with Federation leadership. We have important information to share." Russell exchanged glances with his officers before responding. "Ms. Boyd, we have many questions. Your ship disappeared over 3 centuries ago. Where have you been all this time?" "All will be explained," Lisa replied. "But not over open channels. The matter is too sensitive." "How do we know we can trust you?" Russell asked. There was a pause before Lisa answered. "Captain, we understand your caution. We've been gone a long time. But we're still human. Despite everything that's happened, we're still your people." Russell considered his options. Federation protocol for first contact situations, and this was essentially that. Despite the human origin of the Pathfinder called for caution, but his orders also directed him to establish contact and gather information. "Very well," Russell finally said. "We'll escort you back to Mars for a meeting with Federation officials, but I need to know who else you're bringing with you." "In due time, Captain," Lisa answered. "Please transmit the coordinates for our rendezvous with your leadership." As Jordan sent the necessary information, Olivia suddenly called out from her station, "Captain, I'm detecting spatial distortions forming behind the Pathfinder." Russell turned sharply. "On screen!" The view screen shifted to show the space behind the massive vessel. 7 points of blue light had appeared, each one growing rapidly into a swirling vortex similar to the one that had brought the Pathfinder. "Defensive systems online," Russell ordered. "Red alert." The bridge lighting shifted to a dim red as alarm sounds rang throughout the ship. The crew moved with practiced efficiency to battle stations. One by one, ships emerged from each vortex. They were clearly not of human design. Each one was unique in shape and size, but they shared a common aesthetic: smooth, curving hulls with the same glowing blue veins seen on the Pathfinder's modifications. The smallest was roughly the size of the horizon, while the largest rivaled the Pathfinder itself. 7 ships, Captain," Keith reported, his voice tense. "No weapon signatures active, but they're moving into formation around the Pathfinder." The communication system activated again. This time Russell could see Lisa Boyd on the screen. She appeared to be in her 30s, with short blonde hair and serious eyes. She wore a uniform unlike any in the Federation, dark blue with silver, trim and unfamiliar insignia. "Please don't be alarmed, Captain Russell," Lisa said. "These are our allies. They pose no threat unless threatened." "You didn't mention bringing an alien fleet with you," Russell said, struggling to keep his voice calm. "Would you have believed me if I had?" Lisa asked with a slight smile. "These are representatives of the Viridian people. They've been our friends and partners for generations." Russell studied her face. There was something slightly off about her features. Her eyes seemed a bit too large, her skin had an unusual smoothness to it, but she was undeniably human. "The Federation Council will have questions," Russell said. "And we have answers," Lisa replied, "along with warnings and offers of friendship." Russell nodded slowly. "We'll proceed to Mars. Please have your allies maintain a respectful distance from Federation space stations and outposts during our journey. Many people will be frightened by their appearance." "We understand," Lisa said. "The Viridians will follow our lead." As the communication ended, Keith moved closer to Russell. "Sir, do you trust them?" Russell kept his eyes on the massive ships visible on the view screen. "I don't know what to think, Keith. But if they wanted to attack us, they could have done so already. We're clearly outmatched." The journey back toward the inner solar system took 3 days. During that time, the Pathfinder and its alien escorts maintained a precise formation, following the horizon exactly as requested. Russell tried several times to learn more from Lisa Boyd, but she politely deflected his questions, insisting that their story should be told only once to the proper authorities. Word of the Pathfinder's return spread quickly throughout the Federation. By the time they reached Mars orbit, a crowd of ships had gathered, military vessels, news crews, and curious civilians. A path was cleared for the unusual procession to approach Mars Space Dock Alpha, the largest station orbiting the red planet. "The final approach," Olivia called out from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual activity from one of the Viridian ships. They appear to be launching something." Russell tensed. "Defensive systems. It's not a weapon," Olivia interrupted. I think it's a shuttle." The view screen showed a small craft leaving one of the alien vessels. It was shaped like a teardrop with the same glowing blue lines running across its surface. The communication system activated, and Lisa Boyd appeared again. "Captain Russell, Ambassador Kelleth of the Viridian Cooperative wishes to join our delegation. His shuttle will dock alongside ours if that's acceptable." Russell hesitated only briefly. "Granted, security protocols will apply to all visitors." "Of course," Lisa nodded. "We expected nothing less." As the ships moved into docking position, Russell ordered a secure channel to Federation headquarters. Director Samantha Collins appeared on his screen, her expression grave. "Captain Russell, what's your assessment of the situation?" she asked, without preamble. Russell chose his words carefully. "Director, I believe they are who they claim to be, descendants of the Pathfinder crew. But they've been changed by their time away. And these aliens they've brought with them, I've never seen technology like theirs." "Are they hostile?" Collins asked. "They've had every opportunity to demonstrate hostility and haven't done so," Russell replied. "But they're definitely here with a purpose. Whatever they've come to tell us, Director, I think we need to listen." Collins nodded. "The full Security Council will convene in 2 hours. I want you present for the meeting." "Understood," Russell said. As the Horizon completed its docking procedures, Russell stood at the viewport in his ready room, watching as the massive Pathfinder maneuvered with surprising grace for its size. The alien ships remained in Mars orbit, causing a sensation among the population of the red planet. Whatever happened next would change humanity forever. 3 centuries after, disappearing into the depths of space, the Pathfinder had returned, and as Lisa Boyd had said, they weren't alone. The Mars Federation headquarters was built inside an ancient crater, its dome of transparent aluminum allowing a view of the red landscape outside. In the main conference room, Director Samantha Collins waited with 12 members of the Security Council. She was a tall woman with dark skin and gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her blue uniform was decorated with medals from 40 years of service. Captain Russell entered the room and nodded respectfully to the director. "They're ready," he said. Collins took a deep breath. "Bring them in." The doors opened and 4 people entered. 3 appeared human, while the 4th was clearly alien. Lisa Boyd led the group, followed by a tall man with gray hair who carried himself with military bearing. Behind them came a younger woman with red hair and a tablet computer in her hand. The alien, presumably Ambassador Kelleth, stood nearly 7 feet tall. His skin was pale blue with a slight shimmer, and his large eyes were completely black. He had no visible nose, just 2 small slits where a human nose would be. His mouth was small and lipless. He wore robes of a shimmering material that changed color slightly as he moved. "Director Collins," Lisa said with a formal bow. "Thank you for meeting with us. I am Lisa Boyd, Communications Director for the Pathfinder Collective. This is Captain Daniel Thompson, our commander, and Dr. Amy Porter, our chief scientist. And this is Ambassador Kelleth of the Viridian Cooperative." Collins nodded to each in turn, her expression neutral. "Welcome to Mars. Please, be seated." As they sat around the large table, Russell noticed subtle differences in the 3 humans from the Pathfinder. Their movements were too smooth, their posture too perfect. And like he had noticed with Lisa earlier, there was something not quite right about their features, a bit too symmetrical, eyes slightly too large. "Before we begin," Collins said, I must ask for proof that you are indeed from the Pathfinder mission." Captain Thompson nodded as if he had expected this. He was an older man, perhaps 60, with a weathered face and calm eyes. "Of course. We have brought the original ship's log and crew manifest." He placed a small device on the table. It projected a holographic image of old documents. Dr. Porter spoke up. "The DNA of every person on our ship can be traced back to the original crew. I myself am a direct descendant of Dr. John Porter, the Pathfinder's chief medical officer." One of the council members, a skeptical-looking man in his 50s, leaned forward. "That proves nothing. These could be forgeries." "We anticipated your doubts," Captain Thompson said calmly. "The Pathfinder carried a sealed time capsule, known only to Earth Command. It contained personal messages from each crew member to be delivered to their families if they never returned. We have kept it intact all these years." He placed another device on the table. It projected the image of a metal box with the old Earth government seal. Colin studied it for a moment, then nodded. "The capsule is genuine. Our records confirm its existence. Now," she continued, looking directly at Lisa Boyd, "perhaps you can explain where you've been for the past 3 centuries and how you came to be allied with an alien species unknown to us." Lisa glanced at her companions, then began their story. 3 months into our journey toward Tau Ceti, the Pathfinder encountered a massive solar storm. Our navigation systems were damaged, and we were thrown far off course. Captain Thompson took up the narrative. "With limited supplies and no way to contact Earth, we searched for a habitable planet. After nearly 2 years, we found a moon orbiting a gas giant. It wasn't ideal, but it could support life. We named it New Hope." "Life was hard at first," Lisa continued. "We lost many people to disease and accidents, but we survived. We built a colony and adapted to our new home. And then," Dr. Porter said, 10 years after we landed, the Viridians found us." Ambassador Kelleth spoke for the first time. His voice was melodious with an accent that made his words flow together. "My ancestors were explorers, much like yours. We detected your colony and were curious. We had never encountered another intelligent species before. The Viridians were advanced," Lisa explained, "but they were facing their own crisis. Their population was declining due to a genetic condition that caused fertility problems." Dr. Porter nodded. "Their biology is different from ours, but similar, enough that we could understand it. My great-grandmother worked with Viridian scientists to develop a solution using human genetic principles. Your people saved mine from extinction," Kelleth said simply. "We offered our technology and knowledge in return." Captain Thompson looked around the table at the Federation representatives. "Over generations, our 2 peoples formed a partnership. The Viridians taught us how to harness energy in ways Earth had never discovered. We helped them solve their genetic crisis. Eventually, we formed the Pathfinder Collective, a joint society." "And now you've returned," Colin said. "Why now after all this time?" The 4 visitors exchanged glances. Lisa spoke carefully. "For centuries, we believed return was impossible. The distance was too great. But 50 years ago, Viridian mathematicians developed a theory of controlled wormhole creation. It took decades to perfect, but it finally allowed us to come home." "That doesn't answer why," Russell said, speaking for the first time since the meeting began. Captain Thompson's expression grew serious. "We've come to warn you, and to help, if you'll let us." "Warn us about what?" Collins asked. Ambassador Kelleth stood and placed a small sphere on the table. It projected a 3-dimensional star map showing hundreds of systems. Several areas were marked in red. "There is another spacefaring civilization," he said. "They call themselves the Void Hegemony. They are conquerors who subjugate any species they encounter." He pointed to the red areas. "These are civilizations they have already destroyed or enslaved." "We've been fighting their scout ships for decades," Captain Thompson added. "But now, they're building an invasion fleet. And based on their pattern of expansion, this solar system will be in their path." The room fell silent as the Federation Council absorbed this information. Collins finally spoke. If what you're saying is true, we need to prepare. But how do we know this isn't an elaborate deception? Dr. Porter stepped forward. We've brought detailed scans of hegemony technology and tactics. You can verify the threat yourself. And more importantly, Lisa added, we've brought defensive technology that can help protect Earth and its colonies. What do you want in return? Asked the skeptical council member. A home, Captain Thompson said simply. Recognition as citizens of the Federation and an alliance between humanity and the Viridians. We've lived together for generations. We are family now. Russell watched the faces of the Federation representatives. Some showed disbelief, others fear. But Director Collins remained calm. We will need time to verify your claims, she said, and to consider your request for citizenship and alliance. Of course, Lisa nodded. But please understand, time is not on our side. Our intelligence suggests the hegemony could begin their advance within months. As the meeting continued, Russell studied the visitors from the Pathfinder. They were human, yet changed by their centuries away. They had adapted and evolved in ways no one could have predicted. They had formed a bond with an alien species that seemed genuine and deep. Whether the Federation believed their warning or not, one thing was clear. Humanity's understanding of its place in the universe had changed forever. They were not alone, among the stars. And if the Pathfinder crew was to be believed, not all their neighbors were friendly. 1 week after the initial meeting, the Federation Security Council gathered again. The atmosphere was tense as the members filed into the room. They had spent days reviewing the evidence provided by the Pathfinder Collective, and now it was time to decide how to respond. Director Collins called the meeting to order. After careful analysis of the data provided by Captain Thompson and his team, our intelligence division confirms the existence of the void hegemony. The threat appears to be real. Military advisor Joe Martinez, a stocky man with a serious face, stood up. At first I was skeptical, but the tactical analysis is sound. The hegemony has been systematically conquering civilizations for over a century. Their pattern of expansion is clear, and Earth lies directly in their path. He activated a display showing battle simulations. Based on what we know of their capabilities, our current defenses would not withstand a full-scale attack. Defense Minister Eric Ward frowned. He was tall and thin, with gray hair cut in a military style. We still have only the word of these people regarding the timeline. How do we know the hegemony is truly mobilizing now? The door opened, and Captain Russell entered the room. We have confirmation, Minister, he said grimly. Our deep space outpost at Proxima Centauri went silent 12 hours ago. The recovery team found this. He placed a twisted piece of metal on the table. It was unlike any material used in Federation ships. Dr. Paul Baker, the Federation's chief scientist, scanned it with a handheld device. The composition matches the hegemony scout ship materials in the Pathfinder's database. This is from one of their vessels. A heavy silence fell over the room. The threat was no longer theoretical. It had reached the nearest star to Earth. We need to prepare for war, Martinez said quietly. Director Collins nodded. I've invited the Pathfinder representatives to join us. She pressed a button, and the door opened again. Lisa Boyd entered with Captain Thompson and Ambassador Kelleth. They were joined by a new person, a young man with dark hair who carried himself with confidence. This is John Ellis, Lisa introduced him. He's our weapons expert and will help coordinate our defensive strategy. John nodded to the Federation officials. The scout ships are just the beginning. Based on previous hegemony invasion patterns, they send scouts to map the territory and identify key defensive positions. Once that's done, the main fleet arrives. How long do we have? Russell asked. 3 months at most, John replied. But we can use that time to prepare. Defense Minister, Ward leaned forward. What exactly are you offering us? Captain Thompson gestured to Ambassador Kelleth, who placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram of what looked like a shield generator. Viridian shield technology, Kelleth explained. It can absorb energy weapons at a much higher capacity than your current defenses. We've also brought plans for weapons that can penetrate hegemony ship armor. And you're just giving us this technology? Ward asked suspiciously. We're not giving it, Lisa clarified. We're sharing it. We propose a joint defense initiative. Pathfinder and Viridian ships fighting alongside Federation vessels. Ward shook his head. How do we know your people can be trusted in battle? You've been away for centuries. Your loyalties may lie elsewhere. Captain Thompson's eyes flashed with anger, but his voice remained calm. My ancestors were Earthborn, Minister. The Pathfinder may have been lost, but we never forgot where we came from. John Ellis stepped forward. Every person aboard our ship volunteered for this mission, knowing they might never see our colony again. We came back to help. Director Collins raised her hand to quiet the rising tension. The Federation Council has voted to accept your offer of assistance. Dr. Baker will work with your team to adapt the Viridian technology to our ships. There's something else you should know, Lisa said hesitantly. The hegemony doesn't just conquer physically. They have a form of mind control technology that they use on captured populations. This revelation caused a stir among the Council members. Mind control? Martinez repeated. How do we defend against that? That's more complicated, Captain Thompson admitted. But we have some ideas. The meeting continued for hours as they developed plans for Earth's defense. Ships would need to be retrofitted with the new shields. Weapon systems would require upgrades. The colonies throughout the solar system would need protection. After the Council adjourned, Dr. Baker led the Pathfinder team to the Federation's main research facility. It was a massive complex built into the side of a Martian mountain. Inside, teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock. Dr. Baker watched as John Ellis demonstrated the shield technology. This is incredible, Baker murmured. The energy distribution is unlike anything we've developed. Your ships are powerful, John said, but their shields waste too much energy. This system is much more efficient. As the scientists worked, Captain Russell pulled Lisa aside. There's something I need to ask you, he said quietly. Something that's been bothering me since you arrived. Lisa nodded. Go ahead. You and the others from the Pathfinder, you've changed. Not just culturally, but physically. Your movements, your features, like what happened out there. Lisa was silent for a moment, then she sighed. We've lived alongside the Viridians for generations, Captain. When they helped us with their technology, we helped them with our biology. Over time, there was medical exchange. What are you saying? Russell asked, though he suspected he already knew. Many of us have some Viridian DNA, Lisa admitted. It was necessary for long-term survival on New Hope. The environment there was harsh on pure human physiology. Russell's eyes widened. You're hybrids? We prefer the term adapted, Lisa said with a slight smile. We're still human, Captain. We just have some improvements. Before Russell could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. They rushed back to the main lab, where screens showed a fleet of unknown ships appearing at the edge of the solar system. That's not possible, John said, staring at the data. They can't be here already. Ambassador Kelleth studied the readings. These are not invasion ships. They're an advance force, larger than scouts but smaller than their main fleet. His expression grew grim. They're testing your defenses. Captain Thompson turned to Dr. Baker. How many ships have been upgraded with the new shields? Only 3 so far, Baker replied. The Horizon and 2 others. Captain Russell was already moving toward the exit. I need to get to my ship. We'll come with you, Captain Thompson said. The Pathfinder's weapon systems are fully operational. As they hurried to the shuttle bay, Lisa explained to Russell, this is their strategy. They send waves of ships, each one stronger than the last, to assess defensive capabilities. How many waves before the main fleet? Russell asked. Usually 3, Lisa replied grimly. This is only the first. As the shuttle raced toward the docking bay where the Horizon waited, Russell looked at the Pathfinder representatives. Despite his lingering questions about their changed nature, one thing was clear. Earth needed their help. The void hegemony had arrived sooner than expected, and humanity was not yet ready to face them alone. The battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. The bridge of the USF Horizon hummed with activity as Captain Russell settled into his command chair. Outside the viewports, the massive form of the Pathfinder moved into position alongside them. The Viridian ships formed a defensive line behind. Enemy vessels approaching Jupiter's orbit, First Officer Keith Harrison reported. 12 ships in total. On the main screen, Russell could see the hegemony vessels. They were angular and black, with sharp edges that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Each one was roughly the size of a Federation cruiser. All upgraded weapon systems online, Olivia called from her station. Viridian shields at full power. The communication system activated, and Captain Thompson's face appeared on a side screen. Captain Russell, we should coordinate our attack. The hegemony ships have a weakness at their engine sections. Russell nodded. Agreed. We'll follow your lead on this one. You have more experience fighting them. As the two fleets closed in on each other, a tense silence fell over the Horizon's bridge. This was humanity's first true interstellar war, and not just against any enemy, but one that had conquered multiple civilizations. Enemy ships launching fighter craft, Olivia announced. Small dart-like vessels poured from the larger hegemony ships, hundreds of them swarming toward the Earth fleet. Launch our fighters, Russell ordered, and tell the Viridians to move to intercept. The battle erupted in a storm of energy weapons and explosions. The smaller Viridian ships moved with incredible speed, their weapons cutting through the hegemony fighters with ease. The Horizon shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields. Shields holding at 87%, Olivia reported with surprise, in her voice. The Viridian technology works. The Pathfinder moved forward, its massive weapons unleashing devastating beams of blue energy that sliced through one of the hegemony cruisers. The enemy ship split apart in a soundless explosion. For an hour, the battle raged across the space near Jupiter. 3 hegemony cruisers were destroyed, but they managed to disable 2 Federation ships before Russell ordered them to retreat to safety. Finally, the remaining hegemony vessels pulled back, disappearing in flashes of light as they jumped into faster-than-light travel. They're retreating, Keith said, disbelief in his voice. Captain Thompson's face reappeared on the screen. Not retreating, reporting. They'll come back with more ships and better tactics. We need to prepare for the next wave. Back on Mars, the Federation Council met with the Pathfinder leadership to discuss the battle's outcome. Despite their victory, the mood was somber. We won this round, Lisa Boyd said, but the second wave will be stronger, and the third wave will be stronger still. That's their pattern. How long until they return? Director Collins asked. Based on previous invasions, 1 week for the second wave, Captain Thompson replied. 2 weeks after that for the third and largest attack. That's not much time to upgrade our remaining ships, Defense Minister Ward said. His earlier suspicion of the Pathfinder crew had faded after witnessing their commitment in battle. Ambassador, Kelleth spoke up. There may be another way, a more permanent solution than just winning battles. All eyes turned to the Viridian. What do you propose? Director Collins asked. The hegemony fleet is controlled from a central command ship, Kelleth explained. Their entire network relies on it. If we could disable that ship, their coordination would collapse. A strike team, Lisa suggested, small enough to slip through their defenses while the main fleets engage. John Ellis nodded enthusiastically. It could work, but we'd need a special team with unique skills. What kind of skills? Russell asked. Lisa and Captain Thompson exchanged glances. Then Lisa took a deep breath. There's something we haven't told you about our people. Some of us have developed abilities beyond normal human capacity. The room fell silent. Director Collins leaned forward. What kind of abilities? The Viridian DNA integration had unexpected side effects, Lisa explained. Some of us developed a form of telepathic connection. We can sense each other's thoughts and feelings. And more importantly, Captain Thompson added, we can disrupt electronic systems with our minds. It's how we've been fighting the hegemony's mind control technology. Minister Ward stood up, his face red with anger. You kept this from us? What else are you hiding? We needed to earn your trust first, Lisa said calmly. Would you have believed us if we'd told you right away? Director Collins raised her hand for silence. Can these abilities help us defeat the hegemony? Yes, Lisa said firmly. Their command systems are vulnerable to our telepathic interference. If we can get close enough, we can shut down their network. Over the next week, a plan took shape. The Federation would gather its fleet, now upgraded with Viridian technology, to engage the second wave of hegemony ships. During the battle, Ori's small team would sneak aboard the hegemony command ship when it arrived with the third wave. The strike team would be led by Lisa Boyd, whose telepathic abilities were among the strongest. She would be joined by several other enhanced humans from the Pathfinder, and a squad of Federation Special Forces led by Major Nicole Foster, a veteran of countless missions. Captain Russell volunteered the Horizon to transport the strike team. The ship's newly upgraded systems made it ideal for the dangerous mission. When the second wave of hegemony ships arrived, the battle was fierce. 20 cruisers against the combined forces of humanity and the Viridians. The Federation lost 5 ships, but the enemy lost 8 before retreating. As predicted, 2 weeks later, the main hegemony fleet arrived. 30 massive battleships, led by a gigantic command vessel twice the size of the others. The Federation fleet engaged immediately, drawing attention away from the Horizon as it slipped between the massive ships, its advanced cloaking technology, another gift from the Viridians, hiding it from enemy sensors. We're in position, Russell said quietly as the Horizon moved beneath the command ship's massive hull. Lisa Boyd and her team, dressed in space armor, gathered in the airlock. Major Foster checked her weapons one last time. Remember, Lisa told the team, our goal is to reach the central control room. Once there, we can disrupt their entire network. The strike team launched from the Horizon, using small thruster packs to reach an access point on the hegemony ship. Once inside, they moved quickly through the dark corridors. Lisa led the way, her enhanced senses guiding them past enemy patrols. When they finally reached the central control room, an alarm sounded. Enemy soldiers rushed in, firing energy weapons. Major Foster and her team returned fire, creating a defensive position while Lisa and 3 other enhanced humans moved toward the main control panel. Lisa placed her hands on the alien technology and closed her eyes. The other telepaths formed a circle around her, adding their power to hers. A visible wave of energy pulsed from their hands into the ship's systems. Throughout the hegemony fleet, ships suddenly lost power. Their coordinated attack patterns broke down into chaos. Some ships began firing on each other, their targeting systems confused by the telepathic interference. Back on the Horizon, Russell watched in amazement as the massive enemy fleet fell into disarray. It's working, he whispered. Strike team fought their way back to the extraction point, suffering losses but completing their mission. As they returned to the Horizon, the hegemony command ship began to explode from within, systems overloading and failing. The remaining enemy ships, now without central control, retreated in disorder. The invasion had been stopped. 1 month later, on Earth, representatives from the Federation, the Pathfinder Collective, and the Viridian Cooperative signed a formal alliance. The lost children of Earth had returned home just in time to save their ancestral world. As the ceremony concluded, Captain Russell stood beside Lisa Boyd, watching the mixed crowd of humans and Viridians celebrating together. What happens now? Russell asked. Lisa smiled. Now we build something better than what any of us could create alone. Earth is no longer isolated in the galaxy. For better or worse, humanity has joined the wider community of civilizations. And the hegemony? Russell asked. They'll be back someday, Lisa admitted. But next time we'll be ready. All of us, together. As the sun set over the rebuilt cities of Earth, ships from 3 different civilizations orbited peacefully above. The descendants of the lost Pathfinder had found their way home, bringing with them new friends, new technology, and a new future for all humanity.